And we are back to the Michigan Recruiting Insider, and we have a special guest. Hey, I'm not Sam Webb, but I'm filling in. This is Brice Marich, and this is actually a very important show because this is a repeat visitor, a guy that actually stopped by the studio last summer. I'm talking about Charlotte, North Carolina, Providence Day, four-star offensive lineman, Leo Delaney. Leo, welcome back. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
So Leo, man, I know you were up here last summer. Let's kind of rewind the tape. Talk about that trip a little bit and what you remember the very first time you were up on campus here in Ann Arbor.
The first time I was here was last summer. It was like the barbecue at the big house thing. And I remember like my first experience was pulling into, you know, it was next to the stadium, which is obviously, I mean, it's an amazing stadium. And we got to walk by the practice field and into the indoor and meet with Coach Newsome, and I was really just immediately impressed by like how everyone carried themselves, the culture of everything, and the attention to detail that everyone, you know, had focused around Michigan football.
Let's not get too much into the recruiting process quite yet. Let's talk about your personal season. So your junior season, how did that go for you and how did it go for your team?
So unfortunately, my junior season got cut short for me because of an injury. I had a stress fracture in my lower back, which thankfully is fully healed now. And my team made it to the state championships, but we lost 39-42 to Raven Gap. So for us, it was a year of, you know, got us really hungry again. That's kind of what this year was. And so we've just been, you know, completely attacking the weight room where we're mad is the best way I can put it. Like, we want to beat Raven Gap, the team that, you know, they had us by 3 points. And, you know, they're a great team every year. They bring a lot of big guys in, and they're always a team to compete with. So we really just want to bring everything we have, and I can't go out my senior year with a loss.
So I'm curious, being on the sideline most of last season, how was that for you? Mentally, just kind of processing things, seeing everything unfold. Did you take a leadership role? Like, how did you approach last season then, not being able to play?
Well, it was definitely difficult mentally. That was my first major injury, and to be, you know, in a spot where you're looking out on the field and you know you can help your team if only you were able to go out there and play, that's never, you know, it just sucked because I feel like if I was out there on the field in the state championship game, I think it would have turned out differently. But you know, you can't change the past, and I think the most important thing for me is I wanted to help the people that were in my position, the people that were playing in the spot I'd normally play. I just did my best to help them with the play calls, with, you know, the technique and all that stuff. I'd watch the film of the team we were playing to see how those guys rushed, how they played, and I talked to them, told them what I saw, told them, you know, what I thought they could do, because, you know, a lot of the times the guys that were playing right tackle, they never practiced it because we thought I'd be fine, which obviously didn't happen. Or there was a kid named Griff Galloway, he's a four-star defensive lineman that plays for our school as well, and we tried him, and he's never played offensive line. He's a big body. So I just did my best to help out the people in my position so they could hold down the right side of the line still.
So I am curious too, like, what was an average day going through that rehab process like for you? Like, what time did you wake up? What all did that recovery process entail, like a day-to-day basis? Like, what did your average day look like going through all that?
So the average day, honestly, was really similar to, you know, the average football day, within the fact of, because it was a stress fracture in the spine, couldn't do much. It didn't need surgery, no huge amounts of rehab that I could do for it because it wasn't muscular. So the main thing for it was a lot of rest time. So, you know, I'd wake up, you know, do my normal. I'd started taking like calcium supplements and stuff like that just to try and boost the recovery with it. Go through my school day. After school, I'd go to the trainers, heat it, roll it out, do stuff like that just to get the muscles around it a little looser. And then I just lift, you know, I'd train because I knew I'd do all the training I could that I was clear to do because I knew I'd be back. It was only a temporary setback, and I mean, it just, you know, it happened for a reason. So the only thing I can do now is come back next year with, you know, I'm trying to find the right word for it, just like with a kind of a vengeance, like
Yeah,
tired, like it just sucks.
I gotcha. And one thing that didn't slow down was your recruiting process. Even though you got hurt, it seemed like schools were still on you, still kind of coveting you, still making you a top priority. One of those schools was Michigan, but before we kind of dip our toes and really, look at that recruitment from their side, just take me through how was it, you talked to me off air, you said you're down to a top 8. But how challenging was it to go from 34 schools to 8, and kind of were the factors when you were breaking it down of why those 8 schools made the cut?
Definitely. So, with my injury, I'm very grateful that my recruitment didn't really see too much of a decline just because I got injured, which it was kind of remarkable to me, especially with the form of injury I had. But, it'll all clear up, that's the good part. And I think for the 34 offers, sometimes schools they'll offer you, they think you're a great kid, a great fit, but there's just not a lot of communication back and forth. And so then you're able to narrow it down a decent amount. And then, you just start looking at, the things I want to do is I want to win at a high level. I want a great relationship with the coaching staff, like Coach Newsome, obviously. I think he's incredibly smart, and I think he can develop in an incredibly good way. And the culture of a program, that's always been the number one on my list. So, with Michigan and with a lot of the schools on my list, they hold the standard so high to where you have to rise to that tide. All the people around you, they're trying to be the best version of themselves. So, that'll bring you up with them. And on top of that, the weight room staff here, especially at Michigan, is one of a kind. Like, the attention to detail is incredible. You always have to face the M's up. You have to put your shoes in a certain way. Water bottle on the line with the G facing out. Like, it's all and I think that stuff translates really well to the field, and it definitely stood out to me.
Have you seen that before at any school before?
No, sir.
So, what was your reaction when you're seeing the guys lifting and stuff like that and putting the weights back a certain way or putting their shoes kind of lined up like that? Like, boy, is that something you like, or is that how do you feel about that stuff?
I think I'm a big fan of it because I'm going to sound really old quoting this. My head coach has a quote. He's like, do the little things right, the big things take care of themselves. And I think of that when I see that. Like, they go in the weight room, put their shoes a certain way, they lift a certain way, they put everything back a certain way, they carry themselves a certain way. And then when they get on the field, it's like, you're used to putting the dumbbells back a certain way. You're paying attention to every little detail you can. So your first step's going to matter because that's the smallest detail. Your second step's going to matter. Your hand placement, the angle you set at, the camaraderie you play with, that's all the small details that sometimes you think wouldn't matter, but they're really the glue that holds everything together.
So let's talk about this trip. This is your 3rd time up on campus. You came up for the barbecue. You then went back for the Michigan State game, and you're here for a 4-day trip. How overall has the trip gone for you so far?
It's been everything I hoped it'd be, if I'm being honest. Obviously I have a ton of love for this place, and I already kind of know Coach Newsome's coaching style. Obviously, all the stuff about the weight room, everything about Coach Moore, the culture of the program, that's why I'm back. But I just wanted to spend time around the program, see them practice, which was, honestly, it was amazing. They had I'm sure y'all know the Beat Ohio period, which might have been one of the coolest periods I've ever seen. They blasted purge sirens, blasted the music, and it was just straight man-on-man, run the ball, who's better, who's stronger. And it was just physical, get after it, all practice today, but it was still it was physical and get after it in a way of taking care of your own guys, and still they care about every little detail of what you're doing technicality-wise.
So you actually have 2 former teammates here right now. Did you get to watch much of them during practice, like Channing and Jane Davis, and how did they look?
They look great. And on top of that, the big thing is they look happy.
Okay.
Channing and Jaden, they just seem like they love where they are, which is great when you have someone you can go to that you already played with, that you trust, and they tell you this is exactly what it seems. It's not like a recruiting pitch that they're showing you. It's exactly what it seems, and they look physically on a different person. From where Channing was at Providence Day to where Channing is now, that talks more about the strength program than the strength coaches could ever talk. he's jacked now.
So they not only do they have Channing and Jane, they have Bryce Underwood, the #1 overall prospect last cycle. So is that something you saw coming? Were you shocked? What was your reaction when you saw Michigan flip Bryce Underwood from LSU?
I thought it was really cool. Obviously, I mean, I didn't know it was coming, and it was pretty public news about the whole recruitment of Bryce Underwood, which was pretty cool, and just learning more about that, like how, yeah, I mean, just how his whole thing was handled. I thought it was really cool, and I think it speaks to the fact that Michigan football, you know, even though at points last year people thought that they were heading down a slope, is not going anywhere.
Is that something you look at, though? Like when you're looking at a school like Michigan, seeing a guy Bryce now on the roster and seeing him actually at practice today, is that something you take into your consideration, kind of seeing a guy like that and someone you would potentially play with if you were to come here?
100%. Like, I want my teammates to be as good as possible. Like, the defensive line that I go against, I want them to be the best in the nation, because that would make, you know, I either have to get really good or I just suck. Like, there's no, you can't get around that.
Right, right. So you mentioned a lot, Grant Newsome, the offensive line coach. Talk about your relationship with him and what you think of him.
My relationship with him has been really good since the first day he offered me, which, you know, at the point he offered me, I don't think I've ever met him, but he called me up, told me I had an offer to Michigan, and, you know, I knew what that meant. Like, Michigan is Michigan Wolverines. They have a reputation of putting out great offensive linemen, and the year they offered me, I'm pretty sure that was the national championship run, and I'd already, you know, Jaden and Channing had obviously already been talking a lot about Michigan. So from there, like, I knew it was a place automatically that I was going to love, just because of the type of people Jaden and Channing were to be talking about it like that, and the reputation they have for offensive linemen. So I was excited to get up there, and once I was able to get up there and just start building the relationship with Coach Newsome and seeing the culture of the program, I think that just really, you know, it brought me closer to the program in a way that, I mean, in a way I didn't anticipate. Like, I love this place. I love it here.
So it's not just Grant Newsome really recruiting you. You're kind of getting tag team with the head coach himself, Sharon Moore. So it seems like he's made you pretty much a top priority for them. But how is it having him involved in your recruitment? What do you think of him as well?
I think it's really cool that the head coach is the former offensive line coach, just because of the importance he's going to put on the offensive line. Like yesterday, I was able to sit through meetings, and yeah, I'd never seen this before, and Coach Moore just walks in, sits down, and he starts watching film with everyone. And I was like, oh, yeah, and that's the kind of relationship he has with the offensive line, and that's not something that you can just find anywhere. And on top of that, he has such a connection with all of his guys. That's not something you'll find just anywhere either.
I am curious too, though. Third time up here. You've seen a lot. You know, you've been up to the barbecue, more of a laid-back, you know, relaxing type environment. Then you saw a game day environment against a rival like Michigan State. But this time around, what would you say has been the biggest takeaway from this trip, and why?
The consistency of the culture. I think, like, over 3 trips, sometimes you'll see, you know, it in waves, but like how I mentioned the attention to detail, it's attention to detail in everything. Like, I haven't seen a wane. I haven't seen it. Like, they're just getting after it, and they're getting better, and they're focused on the little things, and they're doing it the right way. And I think that's, you know, that's the big thing for me. Because the main reason I wanted to get, you know, I know a lot about the program by now, is I wanted to see them in spring practice, which I absolutely loved.
So you didn't make the trip alone. You got mom and dad here too with you. What do you think they thought of Michigan? What do you think they think of Michigan in general?
I mean, I know they love it. They talk about a lot, as what they really want from me is to be at a place, you know, where A, I love, and where B, I have a lot of men that are trying to get me to become the best version of myself. And so that's the big thing for, you know, they never played, well, my dad played football in high school, but that's a different story.
Was he good?
No. The way he tells the story is he was 160 pounds, had mono all summer, and he went in and he just got cracked and ran over. So we're not sure where I got the football gene from, but
Well, he did acting, didn't he?
He did do
You
acting.
told me that. He was at Ohio State, but he then went to Wayne State.
Up
he
in
went
Michigan.
He went to State in Michigan. I do remember that. There you go. But yeah, so that's great to hear. And I guess now looking forward, you got a couple more trips. What's next after this trip to Michigan?
So after this trip, I have my first visit to Wisconsin and Penn State lined up,
Okay.
just to see those places. And I think they're another two programs that have a history of great offensive linemen. So it'll be fun to get up there, and then probably won't go anywhere the month of May. Then I have official visits, 4 in the month of June, which aren't completely locked in yet, but I'll be here for an official visit.
Any chance you add more than the 4?
I'd like to keep it down to 4 because
Okay.
everyone I've talked to, it's like if you take more than 4, you are going to be exhausted by the end of it.
I got you. Timeline-wise, do you know when are you a guy that's going to take this up to signing day? Do you want to get it done before your senior year? Kind of what's the time frame there?
Ideally, the latest I'll commit is July, just
Okay.
because I don't want to be worrying about it when I'm worrying about senior year and winning a state championship. I just want to have that set, and the sooner I get to start learning the playbook of wherever I'm going, better chances I have of starting early. So
Fair enough, and I know you did say to me off camera you are going to be enrolling early, so that is a key factor. But for you, when you do sit down with maybe your parents, maybe your coaches, maybe mentors, whoever it is, what are going to be the main factors you take when that time comes to make that final decision?
that's a great question. So the main things for me are the culture of the program, because you're the sum of all the people you surround yourself with. The coaching style of the coach, like how technical they are, how fired they are when they step on the field, all that kind of stuff, and the relationship that I have with the coaches, because my coach can be the best in the world. If I really don't like him, I'm just not going to take his coaching advice well. So I think those are my big 3.
Last question, in terms of Michigan, 2-parter. What do you like most about Michigan, and what questions do you still have about Michigan, would you say?
The thing I like the most about here is definitely the culture.
Okay.
Just the blue collar, hard work and attention to detail, get after it every day. That's why I keep coming back here, I think. And as far as questions go, I can't say that I have any. Like, I've been here multiple times. I know a ton about the program, as much as a recruit could know.
Now, I'm curious, though, you got your upcoming season. For you, what are you trying to do in terms of taking your game to the next level and also helping Providence Day get back to the promised land?
I think for me personally, what I'm working on a lot is, those things that you can always improve as an offensive lineman. My feet better, getting lower, and on top of that, improving the base that I play under. So I'm gonna try out like wrestling and do a bunch of ladder work and stuff like that, as well as I've just been, those first 2 steps, drill those all the time, and keeping my base in it, as well as getting my feet fast. Like, once I make contact and playing under my base, I think if I can get that right, then I'm going to have a dominant senior season. And as far as my team, which, obviously team's more important, so I want to, just do anything I can to lead them to win a state championship, with the help of Zaid, phenomenal quarterback, Gordon Sellers, who I'm sure all of y'all know plenty about, phenomenal receiver. So I think we have the weapons to do it. It's just, can we put enough work in to the point where we do get it?
So for all the fans watching that want to watch you play, what are 2 or 3 games this upcoming year that we should circle on our calendars to come see you guys play? Like the top games, would you say?
Definitely. So we have Rabun Gap, who was always, that's the team that we play state championships for the past 3 years, I want to say. Or, well, we played our rival School Down the Street a couple years ago, but most of the time it'll be Rabun Gap. We play a team called Roman Catholic from Jersey, I want to say, and they're a pretty, they're a good team. They're coming down to Providence Day, which that'll be a fun opening game, and as well as we play Rollsville, who they have some pretty great players. They have good defensive linemen, some great corners, receivers. So those should be games. Those are Roman Catholic and Rollsville are non-conference games, kind of to help us get ready for so we're playing great competition to get ready for our conference games like Raven got.
Gotcha. So Leo, we like to close with this. This is a journey that you don't make by yourself. You got people in your corner, win or lose, they're always there for you. So I want you to take a moment to shout out the people, especially you got 2 people back there, to give them shout outs and appreciation and just show that love and what they've done for you through this journey and obviously upcoming that next chapter as well.
100%. I mean, I can't be grateful enough. Goal is to make my mom cry right now, which I think I should be able to do.
So easily.
I can't be grateful enough for everything that they do for me. Like, I never would have been put in the position to go to school at Providence Day without their help. And at Providence Day, they surrounded me with great coaches, great people, just to the point where I was able to, I think it's working. Is it tearing up? Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just forever grateful to them for putting me in the position where I could be successful, surrounding me with great people and great coaches that have helped me get to the position where I am today.
Well, Leo, that's all I had for you today. I appreciate the return trip back. Hopefully we can see you for another time as well, maybe in the summer, we'll see. But that wraps up. And again, thank you again for everyone watching. That was another episode of the Michigan Recruiting Insider, and make sure you like and subscribe, and see you next time.